It is Thursday, and that means time for Caroline Heldman, professor of critical theory and social justice at Occidental College. She is here to break down the week's political headlines. And as we say every Thursday, never a dull moment. Good morning.
Good morning, Giselle.
Good morning, Caroline. So a lot to get to today. Finally, some good news for President Biden. He'll have the chance to make his mark by appointing a Supreme Court justice with the announcement of Stephen Breyer stepping down from the high court. How significant is Breyers' retirement and the timing of it especially?
That's a great question. The timing is everything. If you recall, with Merrick Garland in the last year of the Obama presidency, Republicans actually bent or broke the rules and stacked the court in a way that made constitutional scholars and hopefully Americans who care about the Constitution very uncomfortable because checks and balances are violated when you pull those shenanigans. So that brings me to the timing of this. Breyer is stepping down now in order to avoid those shenanigans when it is likely that the Republicans will take control of the Senate in the midterm elections. He's doing this on purpose. He's doing what, a lot of folks were critical that Ruth Bader Ginsburg didn't do. Not necessarily a fair criticism, but timing is everything here.
Right. And the president promised if he had this opportunity, he would put a black woman on the high court. And there are three top candidates, among them California Supreme Court Justice Leandra Kruger. This would be historic. It would not change the conservative majority, as you know, but it could be transformative. In what way?
Well, it's transformative, I think, in two ways. One is descriptive representation, that little black girls and little girls and little boys and everyone's going to see this black woman in a very prominent lifetime appointed position of power. And then there's a substantive representation part of it, which is that she may bring a different perspective than the court has ever seen. We've never had a black woman on the court. In fact, 95% of Supreme Court justices have been white men. We've only had 7 people of color or women on the court. So this brings another perspective. This is what progress looks like when the court looks more like our country.
There's already been lots of buzz on Fox News and right-wing media about President Biden's historic promise, and Sean Hannity said it may be illegal to commit to nominating someone based on race or gender. Ronald Reagan did it in 1980, nominating a woman to the Supreme Court, and that, as you know, led to the first female justice, Sandra Day O'Connor. But is right-wing media simply going to object to anything this president does?
Yeah, I mean, Sean Hannity's just making stuff up there. Presidents can use whatever criteria they want. The Constitution doesn't constrain them. They can choose whomever they want as long as they get them approved by the Senate. That's why we have checks and balances, right? So, yeah, Ronald Reagan did that. I would say Amy Coney Barrett was likely selected because of her gender. Certainly Thurgood Marshall, discussions of race with Clarence Thomas. I mean, everyone who isn't a white man, there's some discussion about their identity in the courts. So no, nothing illegal here.
Mitch McConnell and the Republicans can possibly delay confirmation hearings, but if all 50 Democrats are on board, they won't need any Republicans to confirm Breyer's replacement. The question is, will Kirsten Cinema and Joe Manchin be on board?
Yeah, great question, Giselle. I think they will be. If you look at their record in terms of federal judicial appointments, they have not stood in the way of any of Biden's appointments. In fact, they've been crucial votes in some of the more controversial appointments. They will likely want an outsized voice in the process and perhaps even the candidate pick, but I don't expect them to stand in the way.
Kirsten Cinema was just censured by the Arizona Democratic Party, and after the censure, she was seen shaking hands with Republicans being celebrated. What does that tell you about her role within the party?
Well, the Democrats are not happy with her in her home state and probably at the federal level as well. She is likely going to face some pretty significant primary opposition. I think her seat is probably safe in that we have a 90% incumbency rate for senators, and she has about a $4 million war chest, and we're 2 years out from her reelection, so who knows? It's an eternity in political time. With that said, if the Democrats and labor and lots of money gets behind a primary challenge, she could lose her seat.
It's been a bad week also for the former president. He's got legal situations in New York. His documents were turned over to the January 6th committee. Rudy Giuliani is also being now accused of orchestrating those fake certifications. How perilous is this for the Trump team?
Yeah, great question. So with Rudy Giuliani on the fake slate of electors from Republican states, 7 of them to be exact, The election law, federal election law, in terms of certifying the election is a little muddy. It's unlikely that they will be held accountable. It's possible mail fraud, election fraud, felony offenses. It does appear to be organized and orchestrated, and they sent these fake election slates to the National Archives. So there should be something here, except there aren't strong laws to hold them accountable. Who knows whether or not, the vice grip does appear to be squeezing closer and closer to Trump and his inner circle in terms of what the January 6th committee is investigating. But as of right now, we don't know of any smoking gun that would cause the DOJ to investigate Trump directly.
And really, really quickly, Speaker Nancy Pelosi just announced her decision to run for re-election in her divided party. She's had quite a task unifying progressives and moderates. Some people say it's time for her to go. What do you say?
Well, I think it's never time to step down if you're a successful leader. She has been a successful leader. I would say this about anyone of any party. I don't know why she would step down given her success and the fact that she still wants the job.
Caroline Heldman, thank you. We'll be right back, everyone.